Hi. Happy Friday. Glad it's Friday. I had somebody email me, lost the email, had somebody email me asking about Overshoot. They said that they had been in what they figured was a large overshoot. I don't know. They did give the figure and I can't remember what it was, but for about 4 years. And so they're in this. And then after 4 years, then their body started to sort of like redistribute and even things out. I don't talk about overshoot as much as I used to anymore. The reason for that is because for full recovery, we should be trying to rewire our fear of weight gain, and also we should be trying to rewire the belief that we can't trust our bodies and be accepting of whatever weight it is that our body deems is appropriate for us at that time. And I find that when it's almost like people hope they're in overshoot, and then because they're hoping that they're going to lose weight. And I just don't even feel that that's a relevant thing in whatever stage of recovery for you to go through, to be hoping, I hope I'm in overshoot. Let's talk about overshoot a lot. That's the reason that I don't talk about it that much anymore. However, it does happen. It is a thing. I've known people done like really large overshoots that last for a really long time. And everybody seems to think that they're the only one that's going through it. And that's just not true. But like I said, we should be, rather than sitting there going, I hope I'm in overshoot, when's this going to end? We should be challenging ourselves to actually be accepting of our bodies, where our bodies are at, and that our bodies know what they're doing, regardless of our opinion or our judgment of those things. So anyway, all right, got some questions then. Natasha. Hi there, Tabitha. I'm almost 7 months into recovery and my extreme hunger has come back with a vengeance. It's scaring me. I'm already up 40 pounds. I was overweight to begin with. Hard to imagine this will ever get better. My demon is still going strong as well. I'm sick of it. Yep. That's okay to be sick of it. You can be sick of it. You being sick of it is not going to change it. Your body will go through your body's process. You can have all the tantrums and you can be so mad about it, and none of that's going to speed it up. So with that in mind, your body's going to go through its process. You're 7 months in, you're not there. It's going to take a while longer, and who knows, could take another year, could take less, could take more. We don't know. Up to your body. So with that in mind, that we don't know, you can either be like, all right, well, I'm in this for a long haul and I'm going to be sick of it the entire time. Be mad about it. Or you can go, I'm in this for a long haul and I may as well just get on with it and try and enjoy it. I'm kind of being serious. I am being serious when I say that. Try and enjoy it. The edema, if you still have edema after, 7 months in, I would go to your doctor and get your aldosterone levels checked. Anybody who wants to understand a little bit more about edema and aldosterone levels, I did a podcast with Dr. Gaudiani on it. It's, okay, so if I remember, the roundup is that when you restrict food, or usually also mostly if you're in a binge purge cycle, then that is very dehydrating for the body. And so then the body produces more of a hormone called aldosterone, which causes your body to retain water. Now, if that's gone on for a long time, when you actually stop purging or stop restricting, then it's like the aldosterone center in your body didn't get the memo that it doesn't need to overproduce aldosterone anymore because you're no longer dehydrated. So it just like continues overproducing it. And that's when you get a load of water retention. Doctors can check for that. Now, most doctors won't know. I don't think most doctors, I think that's someone like Dr. Gardiani, who's an eating disorder specialist, they would know about that. But most doctors wouldn't. I mean, doctors, GPs, they can't be experts in everything, can they? So cut them a bit of slack and maybe just go in with that information. This is why I want you to test my aldosterone levels, because they can give you some medication that will then help your body sort of reset, lower its aldosterone levels, help with the edema, if that is indeed the problem. I don't know. You're a person on the internet. I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying that that is something that you can actually get checked out by a medical professional. Okay, I'm just actually going to pick from random. Eleanor, do you still eat regularly no matter what? Oh, fuck yeah. And is it 3 meals and 3 snacks? I don't know. Definitely 3 meals. I eat a lot of snacks. Did you follow a structured way of eating, recovering, and you felt no hunger? And were you able to deviate from that structure without relapsing? Could you give us an idea of a typical day of eating and while recovery now for yourself? So I can't really say that I was it like you were anybody looking at the way I ate in recovery would be like, there's fucking no structure to that whatsoever. But I did have, and I outlined this in my book, Rehabilitate, Rewire, Recover, what I sort of called a safety net. So my safety net was, and it wasn't calorie based by any means. It was this sort of like image I had in my head of, even if there comes a day where I'm not hungry at all, I'm still going to wake up and I'm going to have a substantial breakfast. I'm going to have 3 to 4 substantial snacks, substantial lunch, substantial dinner, and as much snack, and I didn't allow myself to define a substantial breakfast, lunch, or dinner via calories, as my brain really wanted me to do that. But I was like, I'm not going to do that. I used to work as a waitress in the local pub. Long time ago. I was about 14, which is probably underage employment, but whatever. And in the local pub, they'd serve these big pub meals. And so if I thought of a meal, I was like, I can't eat a meal that is anything less than what would be served in my local pub. Now, that only works if your local pub isn't one of these fancy, swanky gastro pubs where they serve minute portions of food. My local pub really wasn't. It was the old school, big fish and chips, pie and chips. That was all the sort of food that was on the menu. So that was a really good visual for me, because I wanted to have some sort of visual in place, because I knew myself, I knew my eating disorder, that it would wiggle its way into getting me to eat some squeaky little salad for lunch. So I made that rule. I have to have at least 3 big substantial meals every day. And for my reference, if it's not something that would be served in the pub, I ain't going to eat it. And that worked for me. Now I put that, what I called safety net idea, in place. Should it happen that I'd wake up and there'd be a day when I just absolutely had no hunger at all? And guess what? Never happened. Not in that acute stage of recovery. I never woke up and had no hunger at all. So I never actually needed to worry about it that much. But I do think it is, how your brain can really convince you sometimes you're not hungry and this, that, and the other. I think it's wise to have in place a there is no get out clause. Doesn't matter how not hungry you feel. Doesn't matter how full you feel. Doesn't matter how not like eating you feel. You still got to have some big kick-ass meals every day. And I did the same sort of thing with snacks as well. Like, I had this visual of what a really good, juicy, big snack platter would be. And I had to have that at least 3 times a day. Of course, I massively exceeded that because I'm an overachiever. That's just in my nature to do things very well. And when I decide I'm going to let myself eat, I'm a champion at it. All right, another one at random. So Bojul, I'm 17, just restored my weight. Good for you. Weight restored according to him. My mum says that I can now start exercise again as long as I'm honest with myself with my motivation, but I don't actually know if I want to, or if it's the eating disorder. Good rule of thumb here, Bo. If you don't know, if you are not 100% without any doubt, like, think about how juries convict people of murder. It has to be that there's no plausible doubt sort of clause. If you are not that very much sure that it is not to do with your eating disorder, we assume that it is, and you don't do it. Works the other way. So, for example, if you're, like all the things, whether it comes to eating or exercise or whatever the thing is, if there is any doubt at all that your eating disorder could be involved in the decision making, you have to do the most recovery thing. Just have that. So that, I think the fact that you're writing that question on the YouTube channel, I think that means that you know that you're not ready to exercise yet. And I think that you can have that conversation with your mum, and you can explain that to her. Like, this is why, actually, because I'm not in any doubt. And that's how important the neural rewiring process is. I'm sure she'll get it, because I bet she really, really, really is trying to help you. All right. Freddie says, if there's no control that we have in the process of weight gain and recovery, what is the point in even thinking about anything? Surely the only option is to just imagine your thoughts away. That's hard. Freddie, absolutely agree with you. That's why I kind of am always like, let's not even worry about or talk about weight. It's absolutely, like you have to hand it over to your body. And that's why I do not believe that people, if you are actually doing recovery, do not need a set of scales. You do not need to weigh. You do not need to check. You don't even need to know. You just let your body get on with it. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you. DT says, do you think it's still possible to do well in school as well as fighting anorexia? Everything seems so hard. Well, anything's possible. Depends on you. Depends on your subject. Depends if you're any good at it, really, doesn't it? So, for example, if I was taking French and I had been in recovery from anorexia, no way. I'm shit at languages. But if I had been taking equine science, probably would have done great. There's no one size fits all answer to that question. JT, I think the fact that you are asking me that question means that you're really struggling to do schoolwork and do recovery, and it probably means you need to give yourself permission to just do recovery for now. That's okay. All right, one more. Kels, how do I stop using my eating disorder for attention? It makes me feel loved and wanted when people have concern or worry for me. I don't want to hurt others, but nothing fulfills that need as much as restriction. Sounds like a question for a therapist, doesn't it? Okay. Well, I feel like eating disorders, being in energy deficit, your brain believing that you're in an environment of resource scarcity, turns us into selfish assholes, very self-absorbed. I believe that's like a biological function of your brain believing that, well, fuck, there's scarce resources out there, so I have to make everything about me because I've got to survive. And even the sort of all of the things that go into that, being the martyr effect, that's kind of about being self-absorbed. The whole I don't deserve to recover effect, that's actually being that's a very self-absorbed kind of thought, isn't it? And then this what you're saying here is you're identifying, you're calling yourself out on the fact I'm using my eating disorder for attention, and it does make me feel loved, and I like it when people are concerned about me and things like that. And not everybody has, like, we all are, I feel like, different in our self-absorbedness. I was the opposite of that. I fucking hated it when anybody showed concern for me, but I was very self-absorbed in other ways. So I feel that quite confidently, Kels, that if you can just not worry about that question, push that question aside, just think, I'll cross that bridge later. And if you focus on eating a load of food and getting yourself nutritionally rehabilitated, I'm quite confident when your brain comes out of that scarcity mindset place, believing that it's in an area of scarce resources, I'm pretty confident that that whole dynamic that you've just described to me will go away, because it is sort of part of that self-absorbed eating disorder person thing. It's maybe your version of it. Mine looked very different, but mine looked horrible. Anyway, so that is a question that I wouldn't psychoanalyze yourself too much. I wouldn't even go into it very much. Even that sort of is a bit like I'm thinking about me the whole time stuff, which we love to do when we have an eating disorder. Just that question, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to focus on getting myself fully recovered. And because the question is also a fear-based thought that your brain is trying to go, don't do recovery because no one will be nice to you. I know that logically, that's not true. In fact, it's highly likely, because you'll be a more fun person when you're fully recovered, actually people will like you more. And so you won't need to seek that attention, because people will be like, yeah, Kels, let's go hang out. And so it's a fear-based thought as well. Your brain is trying to use that to go like, you don't need to do recovery. Everyone's so nice to you. It's great. Having eating disorders is great. You get loads of attention. You know, your rational brain knows that that's shit. You know that that's not true. So let's just take that whole thing, because we know its rational brain says that's a shit thought and it's not true. Let's take the whole thing and shove it aside for right now. Refocus on what you need to do in order to fully recover, and keep your focus. And whenever that thought of no one's going to be nice to you, no one's going to love you, no one's going to show concern when you're fully recovered comes in, just go ping out, shut up thought, kick it out, kick it out. And I just think what you'll find as you nutritionally rehabilitate, as you do neural rewiring, the problem will just resolve itself. And you will look back on this in a year or so and you'll be like, I can't even believe I asked that question. Like, recovery so much better. So I think that's the last thing today. I don't have any time for any more. And also, Kels, I appreciate you asking that question, because I think that's such a common thing in eating disorder makeup. And most of us, the self-absorbedness, and most of us don't even like to talk about it because we kind of know what it's like. And we're like, oh, this is a bit gross that my brain thinks like this. And that's just an eating disorder. Don't worry about it. Don't judge yourself for it. It doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It just means you've got an eating disorder. And our brains are just fucked up when we have an eating disorder. All right. And on that, I really am going to go.